Welcome to the Wally Show Aftercast. All the stuff we did not get to during the course of the show today. Yesterday was Martin Luther King Day, Jr. Day. And, a lot of people had it off. We had it off. And it was interesting because I kind of just sat there and I was driving around. I was thinking about, the current problems we still have with racism today and how bad it was back in the day. When I hear stories from my mom, and I'm like, wow, I'm shocked. I mean, she grew up in the era where they had, whites only drinking fountains, and she never understood that, and like it was such a different time. And you think, well, we've gotten better than that, but we still haven't gotten great, at race. But as I thought about this, there was, you hear people say, I don't see color. I don't see color. And then I thought about this and I'm like, I think that's not the right way to handle racism.
Oh, no.
I think seeing color and celebrating color, everybody's, is a good thing because it's part of what makes us different. All of our experiences are different. Some of them based on our color, some of them based on where we grew up. But I think pretending that it doesn't exist does a disservice to ending racism, or at least fixing it. We're not going to ever solve it. It's never going away. In a broken world, it will never go away. But to minimize it is vital.
But I think the message behind it comes from a good heart. Saying everyone is, you just see people as human beings,
right?
Not as part of some group over here and group over there.
I just think you can't swing too far in either, obviously the negative direction, but in that direction, I think like what you're saying, well, I think a lot of times it feels like it comes from, that feels like a thing that is said by white people.
Exactly.
Usually. And I think that sometimes can come from the fact that it's an effort to say, I'm not a racist.
Right.
And it's an effort to also probably explain almost like a lack of culture, because white culture isn't something that's taught. There's a lot more culture in African American,
sure,
Mexican, all this white culture. I
don't even know what white culture is.
Well, you'd have to tie it to Irish culture,
right,
Swedish culture, but then there is
because we all
thing.
came from somewhere else.
Yeah, but there is no such thing as white culture,
right? And
if there is, then it's not a positive connotation.
Well, that's part of the problem. As a white middle-aged man, that group of people has become vilified or synonymous with hate, and with the culture of racism. And so, for me, in not seeing color or in seeing color, I do go out of my way. And I know some people could say, well, you're just trying to, I don't know, not culturally adopt, but people might not saying that I go out of my way. If I have an interaction with someone of color, I try to make that interaction as good as possible because I want to be a good representation of white middle-aged men. I don't want to be seen as hateful, and I want to be kind, and I want someone that is from a different race to go, oh, that breaks a stereotype I had of these people. Because the reality is racism goes both ways. Stereotypes go both ways. And so for me, whether it's somebody else that has of a different race, it's kind of like being a believer, anytime I'm around people that are not believers and I know that, I want them to have a good experience with me because I want to break the stereotype of what they view Christianity like and what they see Christians as. And so for me, being aware of color helps me then be aware of my interaction and going that extra step, and not to be fake and oh, I'm extra friendly, but just to make sure that I am being a good representation genuinely of who I am as a person and who I am in my faith inside of these interactions.
But going back to what you were saying, Betty, is that the sentence usually I think is obviously in a positive way, is that yes, you want to paint you have that conversation to reflect well, but in essence you don't want it to seem like you're trying to treat any conversation like it is a vastly different conversation. Everything is supposed to be this equal level of you're a person to me, not something specific.
You landed on it earlier, I think, when you said, we say things to prove we're not a racist. That's part of the problem, is that because the narrative in the news has shifted, and you got white people like having this white guilt or whatever, and they're furthering the idea that white people are all bad. And that's not not true. Like, you can't paint the black culture with the brush of they're all bad, and you can't do this. You can't do the same thing with white people, and it happens both directions. You know, there are black people that view all white people as bad too, and that's just as damaging. You know, the youngest daughter of Martin Luther King Jr., the Reverend Bernice King, she spoke on MLK Day, and she said, "We love to quote King in and around the holiday, but then we refuse to live King 365 days a year." She also said she's exhausted, exasperated, and quite frankly disappointed to hear her father's words about justice quoted so extensively alongside so little progress. And I can imagine that, like how that would be frustrating to see that we have come a distance, but then it seems like so many times we'll be taking steps forward and then we take 10 steps back with our race relations. And when you are on the receiving end of the inequity, I can't even imagine anything more frustrating, you know? And so I totally understand that. And what about pressure of being a speaker? Because he was such a great orator, and like I don't know that I would ever want to speak, you know, because I'm like, how am I going to top this?
Well, yeah, for sure. And I'm sure that's what every kid thinks with them being like, if they have a celebrity parent, they're like, oh, I got to be all just as good as them.
Yeah. What do you got, Lady Rock?
The Price of Glee. It is a show that is on the ID channel. So it's on Discovery Plus. It came out yesterday. I haven't watched it. It's a documentary about the show Glee.
Oh, okay.
Oh, no.
So I want to watch it. I'm planning on doing that tonight.
Did you watch the show itself? Okay.
I didn't watch the show. It wasn't my kind of thing.
No.
They ruined so much good music.
Well, they did a song like "Don't Stop Believing."
Oh, and I haven't even heard it, but I guarantee you it's horrible. Yep. Oh. Come on. Oh, that is so.
But here's the thing:
bad.
they introduced a bunch of songs from back in the day to a new generation
badly.
Well,
and like that is so bad. And I'm sorry people died on Glee because apparently. I'm sorry, but some people know that. But like, they killed music. Like my daughter loved Broadway, and she would bring me artists that were Broadway artists that were so great, and then doing pop songs. And you're like, this is horrible. Like, stay in your lane. Don't ruin music for the rest of us. There's a reason that rock guys were rock guys and didn't go into Broadway because they had soul, and that's bad. Okay, but go on with the story, please.
But you know that there were generations before you that probably saw the 80s hair band stuff, and they're like, that is not music.
And they were wrong.
And they felt the same way you do about Glee.
Maybe.
Anyways, so the documentary is about how 3 cast members died tragically. One of them was the main guy. I forget his name. Then there was a girl named Naya, and then another guy. But all of them were main characters, and you just don't hear about that. Like, especially when they're young, dying at a very young age. So
didn't the girl drown? Was that the girl am I
drowned,
thinking of?
Like
she was a mom.
So the first guy, the main guy, he died of a drug overdose. Then the girl, she died when she was taking her son out on a boating trip. It was just them two. And they found him in the boat alone. Yeah. And he was like maybe 3 or 4, but he said something about his mom not coming back. And then the other guy, that was actually suicide.
Oh, gee.
Yeah. So the documentary is talking about, is there like a
curse?
Yeah, like a curse on the show.
Oh.
So a couple of things that I found out about this documentary, which, like I said, I haven't watched yet. But Naya, the woman who died, who they found her son later on a boat, he admits that her and Leah, another girl that was a main girl on the show that was singing that song that we just heard, that they were always fighting. Like, they had respect for one another in their work, but they were always fighting with each other. Also, a producer's assistant says that Leah, she's the one that we heard singing the song, that she is a narcissist. He said if there was ever a threat to her character or her attention, that caused conflict.
Oh, really?
Which he's not the first to say anything about this girl, Leah, which now I think she's in Broadway, doing things on Broadway.
Is she? Oh, okay.
But she's not the first to Or he's not the first to say that she was a bully on stage. Remember, there were other cast members that were like, she bullied us. She made us feel horrible. Like, she must be hard to work with.
Yeah, that's a weird dynamic, I think, like on the set where you have like an ensemble cast. And it's kind of like professional sports teams, too. You have that one great guy that everyone's like, oh, he's really great, but he might be so difficult in the locker room. But he's great at what he does, so you kind of put up with it. And the same thing in these things, like they have to interact, they have to get along, and then after that, they're just people. It's just business, at that point. But I would think that would be really hard if you to be into a scene like with someone that you just don't like.
Oh, that would be really difficult.
That's good acting.
yeah, better than I could do. But anyways, I'm planning on watching that tonight. I definitely want to see it.
Ooh, tonight. Boy, I'm trying to think if there's anything good recently that I've like picked up on Netflix or anything. I'm in a dry spell.
You could watch Kaleidoscope.
Oh yeah, I heard about this.
I've recommended that one time. It's not bad. You have to watch it. I actually
it's not bad.
Well, it's a good show, but it's an interesting show that you get to watch like in whatever order you so choose, as long as it ends with a certain episode.
Yeah.
But I actually did find that the episode order we watched it in was better than if I had watched the last couple episodes first.
Really?
So
That's a weird concept, though.
Let me know.
Kind of cool.
Never heard about it. I'm watching through Called the Midwife.
That's
What?
on. Is that Netflix as well, though? Because
What is-
I always seen that and it looks funny.
Call the
No.
midwife?
No, it's serious. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm thinking of something else. Then.
Yeah. It's like it starts based in the 40s or 50s. But anyways, it's about these women living in like a poor area of town, and then the midwives come and help deliver their babies.
Oh.
And all the stories behind
Is it British?
BBC.
You're getting upper crust.
Yes.
Pinky's out.
Cheerio.
Are you
Pinky's
drinking
out.
your tea with your pinky out?
No.
No? All right. Well, there you go.
Just in a solo cup.
We had put a post on Instagram, and Betty Rock did a text about it and stuff like that. Like, I impaled myself in the nose riding a motorcycle, which was so silly. And like 1 in a million odds that's going to happen. Gavin, on a whim, went to a football playoff game, drove 4 hours to that. Very impressive. Like, I respect spontaneity because I'm not always the most spontaneous. Because I have a wife who does not like spontaneity.
Oh, she likes the plan?
She loves a good plan and a list. Loves a plan and a list. And so, like, it's hard to be spontaneous with her. But so those were our weekends. But we had heard nothing about Betty Ross.
Yes, all 3 days.
How was your weekend?
us.
Did you do anything good?
I went to that concert that was the band.
The karaoke for the 80s music?
It wasn't karaoke though, right? It was an
No.
80s cover band.
Yeah,
Cover
cover
band.
band.
She was texting me video at 9:30 at night. I'm like, look at you, girl,
Going
out at
out.
9:30.
Because they were singing songs that I've heard Wally try to sing.
It
Yeah.
was so great.
And they were really good.
Yeah.
They were really good.
That's awesome.
But I was definitely ready to go at the end. Saturday, what did I do on? Oh, that was what I did on Saturday. I did nothing on Friday. That was fantastic. Saturday, I did the eating out and going to that concert. Sunday, I had to do children's church. It was fine. I'm telling you, there's a big difference between boys and girls.
Oh,
Like
for
girls
sure.
want to sit there and listen to the lesson, and they're in it.
Oh,
but
yeah.
boys are just like hitting each other, and you're constantly having
worst.
to be like, listen to me, look at me, look at me.
We were at church the other day on Sunday, and there's a lady that gets out of a car and had like 4 boys, and my wife just went, oh, like because my wife had one quiet daughter, and
Y'all are
like
blessed.
having being a boy mom, like boy moms just carry themselves differently than girl moms, like
They have to be rougher.
They are, and they're all right, Jimmy, in line now, like they don't take any garbage.
Yesterday, I went and met up with a couple of friends of mine for lunch, and then I went to my holistic doctor.
That's
She-
right, the priestess. What's her name?
No.
Priestess.
Her name's
Nira.
Dr.
Wiccan.
Dr. Carly.
Yeah, not even her last name. You don't even call her Dr. Bradford. It's
Anyway.
Dr. Carly.
Do you know her last name?
It's on her website.
Okay.
I don't know.
Carly.
That's just what I call her.
Yeah. Well, did it work?
Yeah, she popped my neck, and I'm feeling a lot better.
And no
That's
more
all,
drainage.
That's all that matters.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, seriously. We are going to do an experiment from Dr. Carly and her holistic weirdness. And Like we shot a video of like insoles. They put you in insoles. Like if you go and you are testing out insoles, they have you not wear them and then they push on your hands and they try to knock you over. Like, look, now put these insoles in. We can't knock you over. And so we tested that, and I'm like, wait, that doesn't work. It's a parlor trick. So Betty Rock has a parlor trick that maybe we'll test tomorrow. That Dr. Carly does to show you something about your diet with a jar of like salt and sugar, and I cannot wait because I like disproving and debunking things that I feel are fraudulent, and so I'm real curious if this works.
I was curious because I thought you were supposed to this weekend. Did you hand out Christmas presents this weekend as well?
Remember?
I did to those 2 friends of mine that I met for lunch.
Yeah.
Yes.
Did they appreciate it?
They did, and they gave me some Christmas presents too.
They did the same
So,
thing.
see, it's important that you keep those around, not just
so
keep them for yourself.
So you get something.
Well, you could have gotten extra.
Did you get
No.
better stuff than you gave?
Wait, say that again. Did
Okay,
I?
so I had told you keep the stuff you bought, you know, because like it's too late, it's past it now. So you give them their stuff and they gave you stuff. The stuff that you got, was it better than what you gave them if you had kept it? Right now, she's thinking if they listen to the show or not.
No, I'm thinking, wait, what did they give me? And then compare the prices.
Yeah.
I'm like hurting my brain. No, I think we spent about the same, each of us. No, because even one friend of mine got me a really nice candle. She knows what I like.
I know.
And then another friend of mine got me a whole batch of like Elvis stickers and stuff.
cool.
So they know what I like.
Okay,
I thought it was really good. It was very
Nice.
sweet of them.
nice. It sounds like a third grade gift swap. I got you stickers. Like
I got you a candle.
But again, that's what I like about Betty.
love
Like
that
she is like totally easy to shop for because she likes simple things, and that's a good thing. Did you guys ever do a gift swap at school? Like, did they do that? Like, Gavin, you're younger. Like,
I don't remember that.
Not in school.
okay.
No.
When I was in school at Christmas, we had to draw names, and we each had to buy a gift for the other kid. And so I distinctly remember this in third grade. I remember getting a bumblebee. It was a thing you filled.
Did you say bubble?
Bumblebee. It
Okay.
looked like a bee. You filled it with bubbles, and you'd spin it around, and bubbles would come out. Okay.
Wee.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you, Ricky Federley. And so, like, I remember in third grade, though, crying because that was the gift I got. And it was kind of like in my head as a third grader, it was like a lame kids, like girls
So
gift.
you weren't grateful.
No, not at all. No, are you kidding me? No, and I remember crying to Miss Diamond, my teacher.
Only kid crying in the background.
Yes,
Because he was
exactly.
sad that he didn't get the present that he wanted.
Exactly. I
Wow.
still remember that to
It's
this
tough,
day.
man.
And she had to console me, and I don't
Tell you
remember
to
what
stop
she
being a
said.
spoiled brat.
Yeah, she's like, stop being such a little girl. I'm like, okay, I'm sorry.
Tough love.
Go take your bubble wand over there. No, but I remember she did make me feel
grateful.
better.
Oh,
But you guys never had gift exchanges.
I don't remember that.
Did you do
We had
Valentine's?
Christmas parties.
We did Valentine's.
Okay. Did you have the box where you'd put Valentines in each other's boxes? Like now you have to do them for the whole class. Back when I was a kid, you didn't have to do that.
You
could
pick
just
and choose your favorites.
absolutely. Now it's like everyone gets a Valentine, but it would have maybe not scarred me. Like, hey, how's your box doing? You got that one kid that the box is overflowing, and then you
I
got
don't
yours.
understand. You
Popular
complain about
Timmy.
it,
Yeah.
but then you complain about the other way too.
But
You're
I'd
like,
rather have it the other way. It makes you stronger. It builds character.
are you stronger? Do you have more character?
Absolutely.
Because even at 54, you still remember
I
it.
still
You're
remember it.
still sad about it.
And I learned a lesson from it. Don't worry about other people and what they're going to do to you. You rise above that and you become successful despite them. Nailed it.
Because the adverse of that is that everyone gets handed
Right.
something.
And it doesn't mean anything.
Then you're not special.
Right. It doesn't mean anything. But the one that you got one in there, you're like, oh, that was a good one. Like, they really like me. So there you go. All right. Well, I guess with that little trip down memory lane, we're going to end our Aftercast today if there's not birthdays.
there is one.
Oh, we haven't had birthdays.
But
Wow.
we need to. Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
go.
Steffi, she wants to
Steffi.
wish her beautiful sister Emily a happy birthday. Said she is the biggest fan of The Office, Friends, The Wally Show, and all things Disney.
Oh, wow.
Question is, if you could only watch one show for the rest of your life, what show would it be?
That'd have to be The Office.
That's tough.
Like, I've watched it through so many times and I still find it really funny.
It is wonderful.
And I hear little things and I'm like, oh, couldn't do that today, that I like. Or Parks and Rec, but I think The Office.
Yeah, there's something about The Office
like-
that's better,
I love Parks and Rec, but I did like The Office better.
for sure. I think I would choose the Andy Griffith Show.
Oh, it's so wholesome.
I just love it,
It feels good.
and I can quote it.
Gavin, don't say Glee.
I shan't. No.
They'll say Lord of the Rings.
No, that's only been one season so far. It's not enough. I would go with Friends. I think that's my show for in terms of like every episode's got something funny to watch, and I just like seeing friends be friends.
I remember seeing an episode of Friends, like was watching it like later, and I hadn't seen this episode, and I couldn't remember like when it was, and it was a show. It was an episode that, from a writing standpoint, I'm like, okay, this is probably about midway through the run because the characters were so well defined and they the backstory and things like that of them, you instantly got it. And so I thought, okay, this is probably about midway through. And it turns out it was the pilot. I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, they had done such a good job setting up who the characters were, what they were like, and had them dialed in so early. A lot of shows take a couple years to dial it in. The Office was a show. The Office first year is dialing it in, and Michael Scott trying to what's his name, Carell, trying to get the character
right
to where
tone.
It's so great. But it took him a year or two. I
think the same was the case for like Parks and Rec. It felt like the first couple seasons of Parks and Rec was interesting. I think it's also about finding your like true set of like actors, and that's where like Friends comes into play, is that their core 6 I think was like a hit right away, whereas like Parks and Rec, it took a second for us to get to like Ben and Chris, who were great characters, for Andy to become the true,
such a weird character but good. So all right, well, there you go. Those are our choices. That's a great question. As always, if you have a birthday, make sure you ask a question because we like talking about that stuff as well. And that's going to do it for your Aftercast today, and thanks for being a potty.